and gentlemen. It is indeed truly extraordinary that this book today is going to be handed over by Honorable the Prime Minister to the President. Judicial Reform, Recent Global Trends. Whenever we see evolution of any civil society, the judiciary has to play a very crucial role. The benchmark being the independent, how far the judiciary is independent. And while incorporating the best of the trends of the world, the march of India's judiciary since 1950, when the Constitution came into being, has been truly extraordinary. Why I say so? That the evolution of India's judiciary, led by the Supreme Court, is a beacon for the whole world, is that the sheer diversity of India, a plural society, an open society, with a vast heritage, how to balance the competing interest, keeping the dignity of individual, the freedom, and above all, the shining flame of independence of judiciary has been truly extraordinary, the march in which the Indian judiciary has over the years evolved. And therefore, in the developing world, the judgments of India's Supreme Court and some of our high courts today are cited with great authority. It brings a great sense of assurance as to how the march of Indian judiciary led by the Supreme Court is being appreciated world over. And the book contains that journey in many parts and also the trends world over. I compliment Shri Dalbir Bhandari, the chairman of this body, and all those who have contributed. As far as our government is concerned, ladies and gentlemen, judicial reform, justice delivery, we deem to be integral as a part of good governance. And therefore, all the needed support to make that happen is always available and will always be available. As Dalbir Bhandari just pointed out about the finance minister and me present together, whether it is the finance minister or myself, both have also been associated with this fraternity. We know the problem. We know what is to be done. And therefore, it gives me great assurance to convey to you that since the mid-90s, when the central sponsored scheme started, about 5,000 crores which have been granted over the years, nearly 2,000 crore plus was granted when the government led by Shri Narendra Modi came to power. It is our vision to make India a big hub of arbitration. And we are working together to make that a reality. While we do salute and acknowledge the extraordinary march of the Indian judiciary as a beacon of hope, as a profound platform of upholding the dignity and freedom of the people of India, as the final benchmark in the case of adjudication, from race to religion, to caste, to center state, to language, to whatnot. And those have been great moments. But having said that, I would also like to point out one thing. While upholding fully the majesty of our court and independence of judiciary as integral to India's governance, which cannot be tinkered with by anyone now, we also need to acknowledge that legislation must be left to those who are elected to legislate by the people of India, and governance must be left to the realm of those elected to govern by the people of India. And for that, I would just like to quote 3 lines which Mahamahim Rashtrapati Ji himself stated while inaugurating this seminar, which is now in the form of the book. As I quote, this is at page 12 of this publication. The assumption of this wider role has been at times quoted opposition for its deviation from the principles of separation of power. Yet some of the positive contributions that such activism have spawned are unquestionable. But I would need to add a cautionary note. The fine balance existing in every democracy with each of the 3 organs of the state, the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary playing their designated roles should not be disrupted. It is a matter of great moment that the judiciary evolved a great facet of Indian constitutional governance by its judgment, namely the doctrine of basic structure. Independence of judiciary is the basic structure, undoubtedly, but I believe separation of power is also a basic structure. It is the job of the executive to formulate and execute, the job of the legislator to legislate, and the duty of the judiciary to interpret, which becomes sacrosanct. How they have to work in a symphony, in a harmony, is again a job which the judiciary will have to determine. That's how I think our constitutional governance must function. The articles and the observations and the speeches in this book surely will be a benchmark in enlightening the great role which our judiciary has played and will continue to play. Thanks a lot. Namaskar. Jai Hind.